welcome to the Next Best Picture podcast, where I'm being joined right now by the director for the documentary film Put Your Soul on Your Hand and Walk, Sepideh Farsi. Thank you so much for joining us here today to talk about this really extraordinary film.
Thank you, Matthew.
So the movie has its world premiere at the Cannes Film Festival, and this clearly should have been a joyous, really wonderful moment for you all. But unfortunately, tragedy struck, and now what you had set out to tell as far as this film's original conceit, if you will, has now become something entirely different in the post-release. So I wanted to touch upon that, but I do want to also kind of go back to the very beginning. Let's start with what made you choose the format of the year-long video call exchanges to tell this documentary film as opposed to, say, a more traditional format?
Well, what set me up on this quest, let's say, was a feeling of a discrepancy in the media narrative, and that was the absence of the Palestinian voices. I was back then, like now, traveling with another film of mine for the release around the world, and so I kept watching, TV channels in different languages in different cities, and after the 7th October attacks had happened, and everybody else was talking about this conflict except for Palestinians. They were never there. Nobody asked them questions, especially at the beginning, the very first months. After some time, I think more and more people realized this, anomaly and tried to address it. But it took a while. It really did take a long time. And so we had other points of view about them, but they were never a question. And journalists were not allowed in. So there were only Palestinian journalists who were trying to cover what now we qualify as a genocide, and which is still ongoing. And they were getting hit and eliminated themselves. So it was a very strange feeling of being fed something which was partial, not total. And it really bothered me so much that I decided to go there and find out for myself, first of all. And as I am a filmmaker, my response to me is a film that I usually share with the others. That's how it started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, being an Iranian filmmaker, and I imagine, because I've interviewed Jafar Panahi this year and Mohammad Rasulov last year, you're also, I'm sure, experiencing the same limitations, the same restrictions that the regime has placed upon you as a filmmaker. That also, I have to imagine, adds another layer of complexity to you wanting to tell your stories.
Absolutely. I do come from a place where we know what it means to be restricted, censored. I was 16 when I was jailed. I was arrested because I was helping another girl from my high school. And I spent almost a year in jail. Even my mother was arrested because of me. And then I lost all my rights. I couldn't go back to school, not to go to university. So I was blocked in Iran for about 2.5 years after being released. So I do know what it means to be blocked in a country, to be blocked in a place, not to be able to leave, not to have freedom of your movements, and also what it means for a regime like the Iranian one does, as you mentioned, clearly to block the access to information for the rest of the world to know what we're going through, which they've been doing ever since, forever, in 2009 to 2019, 2022. And so the Iranians, journalists and people, citizens, needed to document things that were violent themselves at the risk of their lives. And that's exactly what Palestinians do. So I know what it means, really.
Yeah. Now, when you got linked up with Fatima Hassouna, what was like the initial conversations like? How did you build trust with her?
You know what? It's such a strange thing, because every time I think about it and I see the beginning of the film and you see it happening then and there, that is really the first conversation that we had. Something happened in that instant. I think there was a mutual recognition between us she opened up. I mean, I was amazed by her light, by her how the fact that she was so vibrant and smiling with that force that emanates from her. And I think she saw something in me that made her open up in a very deep way manner and very quickly. So from the, let's say that something happens in that instant, and from the second conversation, in fact, we're friends already. It
Yeah.
we miss each other. I mean, she sends me messages like, which are in the film. um I'm so glad, happy to see you again. We will talk tomorrow. It's already a real bonding, and I think it's due to who she was, Fatma Hassouna, whom I called Fatim. She signed her poetry, Fatim, and
Hmm.
who I am, with all that I told you about the fact that I'm locked out of my country. I cannot go back to Iran. I haven't been able to go back for 16 years now, and I know the restrictions and all, and I think it perhaps gives some edge to my personality that she recognized as well. So there was this, moment of yeah,
Yeah.
recognition that went on then till the end.
Right. I have to imagine, and maybe not, but because these are all done over these video recordings, were there ever any times because of technical glitches or anything like that where you would have to redo the calls for any reason, or was it always as is?
uh as you see in the film, there are glitches and there are the disconnections. I never
Right.
reached anything that
Okay, so are all those moments you kept them as is, and you decided, you know what, we're gonna. Okay, yeah, because I was wondering as those were playing out, saying to myself, oh, like clearly they're not hiding this, but I do wonder, was there ever a conversation or a deliberation on that, or
well, there was no, but I mean, nothing was it was impossible to reproduce or redo things. It
yeah,
was such an emergency context that
right,
anything that we got, it was that moment of truth, and then we got it or we didn't because it was cut.
yeah,
If a conversation was cut and I would call her frantically, and you see that in some moments of the film, also some passages, and if she wouldn't answer, then that would be the end of it for that day. And then I would have to wait for the next day for her to reconnect. And sometimes there were gaps, of 2 days, but usually every day she was able to connect, not always on video. It did happen that the connection was too weak for video calls, but or she was sick, for instance, and she couldn't go because every time she had to walk. You imagine that she had to walk for at least 45 minutes to a place to get connection, and then she had to come back to her house. And this was in summer, in the heat, the peak of the heat, walking in dust and destruction under the bombs, with the risk of, I mean, everything. So it's there was never a question of redoing things, clean,
sure.
clean.
Yeah. And you know what? I like that because to like you said before, you're preserving truth. And this is an ongoing conflict that is completely devastating these people, their way of life, the lands. There's you need to show it truthfully and as honestly as possible because there's so many people all over the rest of the world who are either unaware or are aware but are choosing to tune it out. And I'm curious to know because so many films that I've seen from a narrative and also from a documentary standpoint that are highlighting what's going on in Gaza. Um, they're having a lot of trouble finding distribution, but you guys found a home with Kino Lorber for distribution here in the States. What were those conversations like? And did you initially experience any pushback in any of the negotiations when trying to sell the film?
You know what? No, I don't know what it's due to, but well, I wasn't involved in the negotiations myself personally because very early in the process, as soon as we had the selection in Cannes, though, right after that, we were joined by Serkamon, who's the sales agent, the film's international sales, and they were the ones who did all the, contacts, and basically, I think during the festival, the impact was such that I think the deals were made just because but very easily, in the sense, not easily, nothing is ever easy, but I don't think we hit the wall or we had any obstacles in terms of the theme of the film, because I think Fatim is so bright, and what happened to her is so unfair
Yeah.
that this whole thing transcends the framework of cinema and festivals. And when people watch the film, they're so impacted that they want to show it and share it with others. Basically, I think that's why.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I, it's hard to like imagine what the original ending, I suppose, would have been for this. At the end of the film, uh it builds towards this absolutely horrific ending that happened in real life and is something that you could never necessarily anticipate, but it affected everything, I imagine, even the editing process, I'm sure. Can you walk me through what the film was originally like, how it was originally going to end, and then obviously what it ultimately ended up being?
Yeah, nobody. I mean, certainly not me, but I think we just, when the film was finished and it was selected, we got the news. I
The
think
day
they,
after,
yes,
right? The news of the canned news. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's
This quote,
it's
it's,
terrible.
yes. We thought we made it. We thought that this was it, that this was a victory, in the sense that, and I still, to this day, I keep thinking, if they wanted the film not to exist, why didn't they do it this way? Why didn't they hit me? Why didn't they hit The Office? I mean, the well, although the film had already gone, and what was the point of eliminating her? Because this is still a question. It's a mystery. I mean, one day, I don't know, the IDF archives, the Israeli Army archives, should hopefully would be open, I don't know, to accessible, and to see who made that decision, why. I fail to understand. But when I got the news, so the following day, she was killed during the night, in the middle of the
Yeah.
night. And it is a targeted attack. It is clearly investigated. It has been by Forensic Architecture, which is an NGO in the University of Goldsmith in London, and they investigate extrajudicial eliminations of journalists and such. And so they did an article about this. It's 15 pages, and they really clearly conclude. They do ballistic, research and all, and it's very pointed very clearly that it was a targeted attack, and the whole family was killed. Just her
Yeah.
mother survived. She's the only one who survived for a mysterious reason. But and so it's so beyond what one could imagine. I mean, if you would read this in a film script, or if it would be, like what happened to Hind, you would say, no, this is not possible. It's too much.
Yeah.
Nobody would ever do that. This is too much. But it did happen. It did really happen. And it really, I don't know, it breaks, yeah, it breaks your momentum. It breaks, but the film was there, and I decided not to change it because
Hmm.
I wanted the film to be as it was when Fatim was alive.
Got it. Yeah.
And so I kept it. I was just, working on the sound, the credits, the subtitles, various things were being made ready for Cannes premiere. And just about a week or 10 days before, so like at least 3 weeks after her assassination, her killing, I got the feeling, though, that that last conversation was very important to share also. And this is the only thing that I've added to the film since.
Yeah.
Bit that you see where I announce her, that the film was selected. So prior to that, the ending of the film was the end of that video. That's
I see.
traveling, which shows you the destruction, which I have to say was shot by her more than a year ago. So I cannot even imagine what's left now after another year and more than a year, 15 or 16 months of destruction, actually, because that was already apocalypse, what you see in that video. and
Yeah.
the bombings continued for more than another year after that. So I don't know what's left there, and this is why I wanted to end on that video, because it was such a strong, visually strong moment. And then, well, mm, we have this other ending because of what happened.
Yeah. All of the photos of the environments and like you said, the aftermath of the bombings and such, they're all from her, or were there other people that contributed?
No, they're all from her.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
She was a very talented
yeah.
gift
I
photographer.
mean, any loss of human life is devastating in and of itself, but she clearly had so much to offer the world, you know? It's a tragedy. I mean, there's no other way to like put it. I guess because now there is such a incredible weight that is on this film in honoring her legacy. What do you hope that audiences, when they watch the film, what are you hoping that they take away? Because a film like this, in many ways, I think it can be sometimes difficult for people to know where to place then their enthusiasm is not the right word, but let's say their focus. Like they want to help or they want to do something. There's an impulse as human beings that we have when we watch something like this, that we wanna help, or there's that impulsive reaction. So what would you say is like the best thing for audiences to do in the aftermath of watching the film?
Um, she used to say, Fatim used to say something that I love. When I asked her, what do you want? And it's towards the end of the film also, she says it again.
Yeah.
But she also said at the beginning that we have a simple life and they want to take this away from us. Why? And then she kept saying, like, I want to live a simple life. And I think what we need to do, and I would like audiences, people who watch the film to take away from the film with themselves, is that Palestinians are like us. All that has been done for decades is this dehumanization of them. But they are really people like us. She could be my sister, your cousin, our friend. And they are, and we are all alike. And I think we have to make all an effort to give them back this humanity and their dignity and access to a simple human life, normal, what people should all have, basically. And I know that there are many other conflicts in the world, but I have a feeling that the injustice that has been um, um, pushed and put upon Palestinians is really going beyond. I am myself come from a country where there's a dictatorship, and I wish the Iranian regime would leave, forever and change. But when I think of Palestine, it's beyond imagination what they are. So what I would like is for people to just do simple things. It need not be heroic acts, but talk about Palestine, make donations, help Palestinians, push for the war, the genocide to end. And sometimes it's also things that I get messages that are so beautiful. So, a few days ago, somebody wrote to me. I didn't even know him. I think he's from Belgium. A gentleman wrote to me and said, I watched the film and I know that Fatima wanted to go to Vatican. She said it, and I'm going to Rome. I want to take her picture and take her with me and put it there so that she does that trip at the end. And I said, please. And I sent him a photo so that he prints it and does that gesture. It's just symbolic, but
Yeah.
and another Italian young man wrote to me. He was like, it's a page full of, feelings and people do things like some people make rice with chicken. Another Iranian woman wrote to me from New Zealand, saw the film there, and she said, every time I eat now, I think of her that could not have a chicken to eat. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, and then she sent me a dish that she made thinking of Fatim with rice and chicken. And so it's like, this doesn't change anything in the world for Palestinians. This is a symbolic act. Again, all of that I've been saying, but there are things that can be done, I'm sure it's upon us to find our own way to contribute to changing this, you know. Um, horror and go beyond it.
I feel that public perception towards what's going on in Gaza, the genocide, I mean, call it for what it is, in my opinion, but I feel that public perception has started to shift
Hmm.
in a
Yes.
more positive way. And films such as yours are bringing awareness to that conversation and helping to push it out further to other parts of the world. Do you feel that the film has had um, an impact in that regard? Because sometimes I think, some people might look at a film or an article that's written, or really anything about speaking truth to these moments in time, and think, God, am I making a difference? Is this enough? Is this moving the needle? I think the answer is yes, but how do you see it, and what's been your experience in the aftermath?
Mm. It's never enough. You know
Yeah.
what? I thought it is tremendous already. It's been tremendous, but I have a feeling that it's not enough, and I was expecting more to happen. And hopefully, maybe with what the release in the US soon, it might, you know, make changes. But again, a film is never enough.
Hmm.
Obviously, all that we do are things that build up. It's added to a um um
Cumulative, if you will.
yes, a whole.
Yeah.
And you build, you put pieces to, you add a piece to that construction and push further. And this film certainly has had a lot of impact. I was hoping for it to be more impactful, but it's not over yet. I think that something special happens when people watch it, and because she is so human, and it is such a loss. You feel it. Sometimes it's like that. No, I had the chance. I was lucky to be there, and I'm glad that I did it, because otherwise we would have lost her story also. Not only she would have been killed, most probably because of her photos. Um, we would have also lost her work and her smile, and this is something unforgettable. And and I think, yes, there still needs to be more changes, and the public opinion has started shifting. That is true. I feel that
Hmm.
from, well, May, June, I mean, sometime early summer. I think people see it, that what they're being spoon-fed is not the right narrative. That's also it. When the facts are deformed. And I want to also mention something else.
Yeah.
Fatima, as exceptional as she was also an ordinary young woman. She was exceptional, and she was also an ordinary. So we shouldn't make her an exception out of her, and we also shouldn't make her death like an accident, a terrible accident that happened. No, this accident belongs to a systemic and systematic killing, which has been going on for a long time, too long. And it needs sanctions, it needs boycotts, it needs politicians to make the right decisions. And so we as people need to push them to do so. This is their role, and this is our right to demand it. And I
Yeah.
think this is what I want people to do now, to come out of the film and say, why was this girl killed? And let's stop this.
And that's reflected in the film's title in many ways too. When faced with overwhelming challenges, resistance, censorship, death, we push forward.
Mm.
We find a way to push forward somehow. Um, which, I mean, what more could you ask for from humanity in that regard, I suppose. I know that filmmaking, especially in the documentary world, can take years and years and years. When you think about whatever the next film is, um, I have to imagine an experience like this fundamentally, like, just completely changes your life. So does that mean that whatever you choose to work on next will be in a similar vein as this, continuing to tell stories about this part of the world, or do you want to distance yourself and try something different? Like, where are you at right now with that?
um, it, And every day I think of it, of what I would be doing next, because this is my life. I'm a filmmaker. This is what I live with. I mean, it keeps me going.
Yeah.
Um, and I have other projects. I have a funky Western project, Iranian one with music, a lot of music and in black and white that I wanted to do and I still want to do.
Hmm.
But I wouldn't be able to do a film like this now, soon, exactly in the same vein, because it is something so special that I wouldn't want to, it might happen later and come back to me. And this film, I didn't know the form when I went there to do it. I didn't know the final form. I couldn't know. But what I'm working on, and I have a lot of fun, or at least it calms me down now, is an animation project about my own life with a lot of
Oh,
humor. And, I have a feeling that I'm at a moment of my life that I want to share my experience of Iran and also my exile in France and my kind of filmmaking, the way I see the world with the others. So I'm writing that, and it is quite comforting in a way because I need some distance with
yeah.
this film. Although I'm accompanying it every day and traveling with it, but yeah.
And I mean, that extends into the realm of what I do too, where I cover, the awards here in the US. And surely I already know the film's already been nominated for a few awards, won a few awards, and that's going to continue on as the months go down the road. I always see awards as a means to get eyes on a film. That's always been the way I've always, seen it. Yes, recognition is nice. People like winning, but at the end of the day, whether you win or you're nominated, it's all about people just being aware that the film exists somehow because it's being spotlighted. I was going to say you're nodding, so I was going to ask, is that how you see it too? And curious, like for yourself, like what that has been like for you as you've rolled it out to more festivals. More people have seen it, and I'm sure you probably have already been prepped and told, "Hey, we're going to get you into a couple of other like award ceremonies and things of that nature to like try and get the film out there more." Like, just what's been your reaction to all that?
It is a bit paradoxical because obviously, as a filmmaker, as a person, when you are given an award, it is pleasant.
Mm.
And but in this case, there's a bitterness to it also. First of all, because she's not there to see it, she's
Right.
not there to share this pleasure with me, and she should have been. So even if not on my side, but she should have been able to share this somehow. This also the attention that is given to her legacy. And I'm not sure, had she been there, would we have gotten the same amount of attention? And that also is something that is bothering me. The
Yeah.
film is what it is. It really has the qualities that it had before she got killed. But all of a sudden, everybody wants to show her work. Everybody wants to, I mean, at least for her photography, I mean. So these are things that come to my mind and bother me, but at the same time, I take it as a positive sign because more people get exactly what you said. It's a spotlight. It should serve to give the film more recognition and light and shed light on it and more people to see it. And this is important because it is a very special film. I think it also gives a way of seeing cinema in a different way. I had a screening in NYU last night with the students, and I talked to them, and they asked me that they're documentary filmmakers, young filmmakers, they say, but how did you get the idea, or how did you have the confidence that a film shot with just on a mobile with another mobile with such limited technical means would hold? Weren't you not afraid? Were you not afraid? What did you think of the release? And I was like, you don't think of the release. It's like, but it's interesting to exchange with people at that level or at that moment of their career, and then also with the general audience. And I really hope that millions of people would get to see the film. I don't know how many would at the end watch it, but I hope there will be a lot.
Something tells me that there will be a lot for this one. I can't thank you enough once again for your time here. I know that this has been a very um, confusing, to some degree, frustrating, as you expressed earlier, bittersweet, I think is probably the
Bittersweet.
best
Yeah,
term
exactly.
overall. Yeah.
Yes.
Experience, but we appreciate the work. and we appreciate what this has done for her legacy, as you said earlier as well. So thank you so much, and best of luck to you.
Thank you, Matthew. Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Bye.